What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Time City, episode 2, and we are back here in Planet Coaster and Time City Part 2, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, because I have a great episode for you today, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on more of the parking lots. We worked on the parking lot entrance in the first episode, and now we are back, and we're going to be working on the parking lot, the first parking lot section here, and actually we kind of create two parking lot sections. But first thing to note real quick, I want to say real quick, if you guys want to watch these episodes real time, I do live stream them through Twitch. So I will be I am starting to live stream these through Twitch, so make sure you are following me on Twitch. If you don't get the notifications through YouTube, it's supposed to notify you on YouTube because the accounts are linked, but if you don't, make sure you're following me on Twitch, and keep an eye out on that if you guys want to watch these real time, because I actually live stream this and hardly, not really anyone watched it. So I just want to get the word out that these live streams are going to be on Twitch if you want to watch them real time. I don't really have an estimated time of when I actually am going to live stream these episodes. It's just when I start recording, I decide to live stream it as well. That way it gives you an option to watch it real time as it's unfolding at the same time, just to give you guys easier time. So if you guys want to watch the full thing real time, go check out my Twitch channel, which actually has my videos on there. Even you can actually go view those real time as well. So what I do is I actually live stream and record it at the exact same time, which is actually something I didn't really think about doing until recently. So, and then I just prefer Twitch live streaming more than YouTube live streaming anyways. So it just gives you guys an opportunity, because on the video wise, Timelapse is going to be on YouTube here, and the live streaming is going to go through Twitch. So that's just how I'm going to start doing it. And it turned out pretty cool. So another thing to note real quick before we get too far into the video is also that I have actually made another boo-boo, and all the footage you see here ends up actually getting lost. That's right, I actually did not get a save in, and Planet Coaster actually crashed right after I stopped recording this episode. So that was kind of weird and interesting, but don't worry, I did end up redoing everything pretty much close to exactly the same. There's a slight few changes when I did redo it. It took me another 2 hours right afterwards, but I did redo it. You'll see in the real-time section actually the redone version of it, and I actually explain more of that in that real-time section of the video. So you'll see the finished product after all that unfolds later on anyways. So, but that kind of sucked. Just make sure you're reminding me to constantly save these files, because I'm getting apparently really bad at not saving my files, and something going wrong, like the game crashes or I forget to save completely. And we don't want that happening. We want to make sure we have I want to make sure I don't have to do each episode twice. I don't have to spend an extra 2 hours just to rebuild what I just did. And it's not a lot of fun when that happens. You prefer for that not to happen. But I did get it down back really, really well. So not something to really be too worried about, since I went in and actually redid it really quickly. Probably a little faster, because this is about a little over 2 hours of footage, time-lapsed, condensed for you guys here. And I hope you guys are enjoying the park so far, even though we're not even inside the park yet. So that's kind of interesting that we're not even inside the park, but we're already in episode 2, and I hope to get to the park entrance possibly by the next episode, maybe episode 3. Maybe we start working a little bit on the park entrance, and I just want to get all the details down in the parking lot section, and I don't want to spend too much time in the parking lot. That's one thing I do not want to do, and I'm trying to use as minimal amount of space in the parking lot as well. I'm trying to keep it off to the side as much as possible, and keeping as much space open in the park as possible. That's gonna be the thing, because we're gonna need a lot of space for the park, because it is gonna be a fairly large park. so speaking. So it's going to be kind of a tough thing to actually accomplish, and it is going to be a challenge. I'm going to be testing my building skills to the max when we get inside the park. So I'm already testing them now here in the parking lot, trying to create a parking lot that makes sense and is kind of, you know, could be usable or functional if it was real. So the idea that I kind of came up with is to kind of make a big circle in a way. It's not technically a circle, but the road is going to wrap around all these different lots, and it all going to lead back to the exit of the park as well. So once you enter through, the only way out is to drive all the way around through it and exit out the highway section part of the of it. So that's going to kind of make sense in that way. So I kind of made some clever moves here. I actually had to cover up this, so I decided to use some planters and work that in there. So I think this is me kind of explaining things in the time lapse, saying what I'm kind of trying to do. So it's kind of an interesting thing on how it all is going to fit in, but you'll see later on. But next episode, we're probably going to be doing the disabled parking, and the little bit of the entrance is probably what we're going to get around to. So I'm very excited to actually get into the park eventually, very fairly soon. So that's going to be the idea. I also want to make sure I work on some backstage areas and employee sections of the park as well. So that's going to be a big thing in this park as well, that everything's going to just feel real. That's going to be the cool thing. And I wanted to create my own like lampposts as well. So I want to make sure these feel fresh and kind of their own as well. That way you're not seeing like the in-game normal Planet Coaster stuff. You're also seeing some custom lampposts that you don't usually see very often. Something different, and that's kind of what I wanted to go here, is something different. Now I did kind of change this up just a tiny bit when I had to redo the park, and I rechanged the sign that I end up putting in here, and you'll see more of that again in the real-time section. That gets kind of changed up just a little bit for the good, I think. Because I think the sign actually turned out just a little bit better anyways. I was thinking about doing custom signs for this, but I decided to go ahead and stick with just the regular signs. It will save me a little bit more time, and I think it looks fine the way it did end up turning out. So you know, you have those signs with the sections of that where you're parked and everything. That's going to be the idea with this. I still use the exact same sign, but I just kind of made it to where it didn't have the wooden border. As you see, I will build here in just a second. I changed the colors of it as well, and you'll just see a little bit in the real-time section of how much better it turned out when I did redo these. So I was actually very kind of glad that I redid it, because I liked the way it turned out a lot better in the other version. So this is going to be Lot Z, and I actually changed the font as well, so that's actually something that changes. But I'm glad I didn't use these wooden borders, because I didn't like them as well anyways, so I'm kind of glad that I did get those changed. Now another idea with these with this you know, parking lot is that we're going to be making some bus stops as well. That way you can get picked up by the bus or tram or whatever and not have to walk all the way. And one of the ideas that I'm going to have here is that the guest spawners, where the guests spawn, I'm going to try and put those and try and hide those in some of the bus stops, possibly. And some of those guests are going to want to walk all the way to the park. Some of those guests are going to get off at the bus station. So I want to put some guest spawners like inside the bus, so it looks like they're coming off the bus or something. I think that would be kind of a neat touch, and just a kind of an interesting and unique way to actually put the guest spawners in. And I think that will work really well, because I also want to make a sidewalk that heads over to the park entrance as well, so the guests have the ability to walk to the park instead of actually taking the bus if they so desire, and not have to. So some people don't want to wait on the bus, they can go ahead and just walk on over. And it's not a whole lot of walking, but some people of course cannot do that much walking, and that's why there are disabled parking as well. Something I haven't done actually is done some disabled parking, and that's something you usually see, excuse me, most of in a lot of parks. You'll have the disabled parking right in front of the gate, so they do not have to go a long distance. That's kind of the idea of disabled parking, of course. So I like how the this little parking lot turned out. I kind of inspired it just a little bit from the large parking sections of the Disney World and everything, the Magic Kingdom, and they had a lot of like one-way parking spaces like that, and I made like a smaller version right here just for this one lot, and this is going to be like the very far back lot just in case they overflow on their other parking. This is what this one's going to be used for, so they don't usually naturally use this parking lot unless they're full everywhere else. It's just kind of like that backup parking spaces just in case. So here we are actually building the bus stop, and this is something I was kind of worried about because I never really built anything like this before, and I thought I would just make like a little covered place for guests to actually wait around and waiting for the bus. And actually when I redid it in the next one, I actually added some benches and trash cans on the inside of it as well, so the guests have somewhere to sit while they're waiting on their bus or something like that. You know, it was kind of a nice little touch, and I did a lot of like detail adding around this as well just to make it, and I might even add more later on, but this is just kind of like a nice generic little bus stop that turned out kind of nice. I was actually pretty happy with it. I think I could use just a couple more pinch of details here and there, but overall it didn't turn out too bad, and I'm kind of pleased with it for the most part, and I do want to do a little bit more with it though. I think it could potentially add a little bit more with it. I feel like it's not fully done, and there could be just a little bit more. I did add like a kind of like a sidewalk piece in between to blend in the pathway with this a little bit better, and I think that turned out well. I kind of want to put like a vending machine on the inside of it or something similar like that. I think that would be kind of a nice little touch to populate it on the inside, because naturally, you know, while you're waiting, you know, you can maybe get a snack or a drink or something while you're waiting and everything like that. So all the lots are going to have like this little bus stop little thing, and there's not going to be too many lots. My idea is that there's only going to be about 3 different types of lots. We have this one out here. We have a very large one, which you'll see in just a little bit, that we're going to be adding a large lot. And then there's going to be the disabled parking lot, which actually will probably not have a bus stop because it's right in front of the park entrance. So mainly just these two will actually have the bus stops. And I'm thinking about adding more lots in the future later on, but I want to make sure there's enough room for the park first and foremost, and also that there's room for some employee parking. And I have an idea of maybe where I might put the employee parking, but for right now, we'll wait on those just in the meantime. And I just want to mainly get to the entrance of the park, and so we're going to be hard at work at finishing all this up in the near future. And something I also wanted to point out is that I'm adding a little bit of like some clocks, just some clock scenery just randomly in the parking lot as well. I think it's a really nice touch because you get that idea before you get into the park. You know, it's very important. The first thing you see is the parking lots, and if you see theming in the parking lot, you're going to be like, wow, they're really going all out in this park, and it just kind of is a nice touch, and it's like the first experience you feel of kind of the theming of the park is that there's some theming throughout, even in the parking lot. You know, it's kind of a nice little touch I thought would be kind of neat and everything. So another thing that I had to do is connect the road going to the little employee lot right there by the front parking booth, and that had to be connected as well. Because, you know, how are those cars going to get in there? And they're just kind of caged in. So this is going to be like an employees only lot that is going to be closed off to employees only, obviously. And it's going to have like a little parking, one of those parking things that keep them from going in unless you're an employee. So it's going to be kind of like one of those things. So But yeah, this is going to be like a double lane road. So the idea of it, and I'm still trying to make it to where it makes sense. So if you are going into the lot over there, there's obviously, when you're parking in parking lots, there's usually directions on where to go first, because they want to control where you're going to park pretty much usually first before they open up another lot. So usually this back lot's not going to be used unless it's going to be busy, so they'll most likely keep you in the outside lane, and you'll stay in the outside lane if you're just proceeding on closer to the park, and if you want to get into that lane, it will be easier to get into that parking lot, little lot right there. So it's going to be a beautiful park, and I just can't stress that enough, that how amazing it is. And I'm going to be going off screen actually and adding little details here and there that you probably won't even notice, but will really make the park have even larger charms than what it will already have. So just keep a lookout for that as well. I like the things I'm going to be adding off screen is just kind of like parking, the parking lot kind of lines and stuff on the roads. I'm gonna most likely do those off screen, just because those are very long, tedious process that just takes forever. And I actually did some before this episode on the first road out there before the parking booth. So anyways, that's gonna be some stuff that I'm gonna do off screen that will just be a nice touch for the park itself. And I think this is the most episodes I've ever worked on just the parking lot itself, because I think episode 3 will be the third episode actually working at, will still be in the parking lot. That just gives you an idea of how much detail I want to put into this park, and there's still a lot to be done in these too. I'm not completely finished. There's still more details that I want to add to actually complete these sections. At first I wanted to try maybe this like gateway that slides open for this, but I didn't really like the way it looked, and I ended up going with something else instead and just reusing the parking thing. I don't even know what it's called to be honest, but kind of like park crossing barrier thing, the parking barrier, one of these things right here, whatever you call them, whatever. And just to have like that in the way, so guests can't get in that section of the parking lot, because of course that is an employees section only. So but we're going to be heavily using a lot of these backstage areas. I'm very excited for stuff like that. I really like that level of detail when there's like backstage areas in parks and everything, because it just shows the level of detail that goes into some of these parks that I've seen. You know, I like watching like Silverette, and then some of those others that like to do backstage areas as well. It's very smart and very just that extra layer of detail, you know, that just really adds to the park. And I really like it, you know, and I'm thinking about on some of my other parks actually upgrading some of the parking lots a little bit, because, you know, I just kind of threw them in there just because, so they could have a parking lot. But this one, again, I'm going all out, and this is kind of like my first full-scaled parking lot design and everything. I've actually designed it a little bit before and planned it before to make it in a way that makes sense and everything. And you know, because some of these can get a little complicated at times, and a little difficult to figure out. And you know, it's just sometimes I get lost in parking lots, complex parking lots, when you're going somewhere that has a lot of parking and a lot of people and a lot of attendance. You know, like sports events and stuff like that, where they get tons of parking. People parking, and there's just so much traffic and everything. It just gets really ridiculous sometimes. So I want to make sure there's a big enough parking lot for this park at opening, but you know, I could make it to where make you believe that there's some maybe free parking that is not visible in the park, in the save. You know, that's gonna be the idea. You know, the paid parking is here, which means this is the parking that is actually closer to the park, and the other parking is free that's not even near the park, you know, that you need like a shuttle to even get to over here. So it's kind of an interesting aspect of that and everything. So Again, I'm going to be trying to make as less, hold up a lot of less space as possible with this parking lot, and this is going to be one of my larger lots right here. That's going to be taking up a lot of space, and I think I actually made it little bit bigger in the remake of it. Actually, I think I made it a little bit longer and deeper, so it's actually has more parking than I've ever done before than in this one. So, and I actually redesigned it a little bit, so there's actually a road that goes all the way around it as well. So that's kind of a nice little touch that I redid. Again, you'll see it in the real-time section of this video. And so what you'll see here is I'm actually planning on the other side of this lot that I'm working on here is going to be pretty much the disabled parking, which is going to connect you to the entrance of the park. So you can see that we're getting close to the start of the park, and I'm very excited for that. But who knows how much the entrance area is going to take as well, because I have good plans for a very beautiful, nice park entrance, and I want the park entrance to look fantastic. And I had a couple ideas with the park entrance, but I think I know kind of how I'm going to do it now. But as of right now, the park entrance is going to be fairly close to this at the front here. So I noticed that it did leave me with quite a bit of space still to work with for the park, so I don't think we're going to have any space issues as much as I was thinking we were going to with the parking lot, because I know the parking lot was going to take up some space that, and I wanted to limit that as much as possible, so we have more park than we have parking lot, if that makes sense, because who wants, just a parking lot for, a park? Half of your park save is just a parking lot. That's not what people want, but I still want the parking lot present. That's kind of how I am. I at least want it present in the park, and it kind of helps out. So this is, of course, our large lot that is going to be able to hold a lot of cars. It's going to be kind of the main lot of the park. That way there's plenty of space here, and if this gets taken up, then they open up that smaller lot off to the side there to hold a couple more cars. So, but anyways, that's the main thing we actually get done here is just these two lots right here, and we do a little bit of foliage and everything like that to kind of tidy it up and just kind of get the environment going just around it just a little bit, because it always looks very blank and boring right before you put all those. So we have a little bus stop here that we're going to place down as well, in case guests want to take a tram or bus. And then we connect actually the road that goes around, and we connect it to the exit road as well. So again, it goes all the way around, and it's going to connect to that exit road, which will lead you out of the park and the parking lot and everything, so you can go home. And I really thought this through as much as I could with in mind. Again, I practiced making parking lots before I actually did this, so I thought it actually turned out quite nicely. And I think we used a minimal amount of space for this parking lot as well, so I'm very glad that turned out the way it did. And I like having the little bit of terrain that we had to work with here as well, because not every park is just plain flat. Some has very slight elevation, just and the slightest, just some slight hills and everything, which is there. It's there, and it works. So that's what I was doing here, is just making sure that this is smooth enough for the road to go travel up to and get around to the exit parts. So as you can see, this road's going to travel around and it will connect to the exit road, and that's how they exit through, and they go through this pretty much giant circle of different lots that they are going to be able to park into. And again, we still have the disabled guest lock, the disabled parking lot that we're going to have up front, and right in front of that is going to be the park entrance. So hopefully this turns out the way I hope, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and very fun episode, and I can't wait till the next one. I hope you guys can't wait too. You guys seem very enthusiastic about this series, so as much as I am, since I've hyped it up so much. But anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the real-time section of the park, and that way you can get a feel for what happened after I lost the park file, and you can I kind of explain a little bit of what all the slight changes I made after the time lapse here. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the time lapse. Alright guys, welcome to the real-time section, and I'm going to show you what the progress we made during the live stream slash time lapse. So unfortunately, I will say this, if you haven't noticed already, some stuff might look just a little bit different, and that might be because I lost the file right after the recording ended, and that was quite unfortunate because I had to redo this. Like, I did it like literally right afterwards and took another 2 hours just to redo it again. Probably not as much time, but it was kind of crap. It kind of sucked. But the good thing is I got to improve just a couple of things while that happened. So as you can see, I did make this just a little bit longer and straighter right there. I also added some benches and trash cans within there, and just a little bit nicer. Everything here is basically about the same. I did change the sign just a little bit. I made it look a little bit better. I made it look like it was just hanging on by that instead of the wood cover. I think that looks a little bit better, and then I changed the colors on that as well. That's the main differences. This larger lot that we built is also just a little bit closer than what it was on this side, and that's mostly because I thought, what if I made it a little closer? Just making as much extra space as we can. I put this other spot, the other bus stop right over there, and added just some more trees, and this road might be just a little bit shorter as well, and I put this on the other side at the same time. So overall, everything turned out basically pretty much the same. I think the hill's slightly gentler going down to this area, but that's okay. Not a huge deal, as long as the terrain is still there, which it is. So again, I do apologize by not saving again, and the game just randomly crashed. Usually it auto-saves, but it decided not to. So so we're not getting any auto-saves getting in here, unfortunately, which kind of does suck. But you know, from now on, just remember to yell at me when we're saving. And by the way, just real quick before I end the video, just so you guys know, I did live stream the real-time version of this on Twitch. So if you want to see the full live stream, you can go to Twitch and the video will be in there. So that is how I'm going to be doing it from now on. I'm going to be live streaming on Twitch. So if you're not following me on Twitch, be sure to check the link in the description to go follow me on Twitch, and you be notified of when I do a live stream for Time City. So I do the real time there, and I also record it at the same time to do the time lapse at the same time. So so if you want to watch it in real time and actually get your words in and comment during real-time gameplay, be sure to check it out on Twitch. I'm going to be live streaming the series on Twitch real time. So that way, if you want to watch it real time, you can, or if you want to watch it time lapsed, you can as well. So just a nice little thing note there, and just remember to periodically yell at me to save from now on. This is the second time this has happened lately, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. But I got to improve a couple things redoing it the second time anyways. But overall, I think I did a good job recreating it once again. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more content like this. And if you want to get your own Time City merchandise or JLW Games merchandise, be sure to click the link as well to go check the merchandise out. If you just want to check it out, that's fine too. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Have a great day and an even cooler tomorrow. Thanks so much, and goodbye.